Ready for a deep dive into happiness. But get this, our guide is Albert Einstein.
Albert Einstein.
Yeah, Albert Einstein. I know what you're thinking. Wasn't he all about physics and like the universe?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out he had some pretty profound thoughts on how to live a good life, too.
Interesting.
And the best part, his approach is way simpler than you might think.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fascinating because his name is like synonymous with genius and complexity, but his personal philosophy was rooted in simplicity. He understood something that a lot of us struggle with today, that true happiness isn't about chasing external achievements, but about cultivating a sense of inner peace and contentment.
Okay, so no crazy equations here.
Not at all.
Oh, good.
In fact, there's this great story about Einstein in 1922.
Okay.
He was in Tokyo, and instead of tipping a bellhop with money, he gave him a handwritten note with some life advice. It read, "A calm and modest life brings more happiness than the pursuit of success combined with constant restlessness."
Whoa, that's deep coming from a guy who, revolutionized our understanding of the universe.
Right.
It's like he was saying, hey, I've been there, done that, and trust me, chasing external validation isn't the key to happiness.
Exactly. He was living proof that you could achieve incredible things and still find joy in the simple things.
Right.
And this wasn't just a one-off thought. Simplicity was woven into the fabric of his life.
So what did that look like for Einstein? Did he, live in a tiny house and wear the same outfit every day?
Well, he didn't go quite that far.
Okay.
But he definitely valued experiences over possessions. He famously didn't own a car, preferring to walk or bike.
Wow.
He loved playing his violin, spending time in nature, and just having space to think and reflect. For Einstein, these simple pleasures were more valuable than any amount of wealth or status.
I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
I always feel so much calmer and happier after a long walk in the park.
It's like it helps me reset and appreciate the little things.
And that's precisely what Einstein was getting at. He understood that true happiness wasn't about accumulating more stuff. It was about cultivating a sense of contentment with what you already had.
Right.
And this is something that's incredibly relevant today, especially when we're bombarded with messages telling us to buy more, do more, be more.
It's so easy to get caught up in that hustle culture mentality. We're constantly striving for the next promotion, the bigger house, the perfect Instagram feed. But, like Einstein said, all that striving can lead to restlessness and anxiety, not happiness. So what's the antidote? How do we break free from that cycle and find that calm and modest life that he talked about?
Well, one key was his insatiable curiosity.
Okay.
He wasn't just brilliant, he was a lifelong learner, constantly seeking new knowledge and experiences.
He had a famous quote about that, right? Something about not having special talents, just being passionately curious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that curiosity, it wasn't just about science.
He was fascinated by philosophy, music, art, all sorts of things.
Right.
And I think that's a big part of what kept him feeling vibrant and engaged throughout his life.
Yeah.
It wasn't about reaching some end goal. It was about the joy of discovery, the constant exploration of the world around him.
Okay, I'm starting to see a pattern here.
Yeah.
Simplicity, curiosity. It's like he was rejecting the idea that happiness comes from external achievements.
Yeah.
And instead finding it in these internal qualities and experiences.
You're absolutely right.
Okay, good.
And there's one more piece of the puzzle we need to explore. His embrace of nonconformity. Einstein wasn't afraid to go against the grain, to challenge the status quo, and to live life on his own terms.
I could definitely see that in his personality. He had this quirky, rebellious streak. Like, he famously hated wearing socks.
Exactly, and it wasn't just about being different for the sake of it. He genuinely believed that true happiness came from being true to yourself, from living in alignment with your own values, even if they didn't fit in with societal expectations. And that's such an important message, especially today, when we're constantly bombarded with messages telling us how to look, how to act, how to live our lives.
It's so true. Social media especially can make us feel like we're constantly comparing ourselves to others and trying to fit into some mold that may not even be authentic to who we are.
And that kind of pressure can be exhausting, right?
Totally.
It takes us away from those things that truly bring us joy and make us feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
So how do we break free from those expectations and embrace our own unique paths?
Right.
How do we cultivate that inner peace that Einstein seemed to have mastered?
Okay, I'm all ears. This is where it gets really interesting for me. Tell me more about how these ideas can translate into actionable steps.
It all comes back to something we touched on earlier. Einstein's deep appreciation for simplicity.
Mm.
He understood that happiness wasn't about acquiring more things or chasing external validation. It was
Right.
about simplifying your life,
Okay.
focusing on what truly mattered, and finding joy in the present moment.
So it's not about becoming a minimalist and getting rid of all our possessions.
Not necessarily.
Man.
It's more about being mindful of what we allow into our lives.
Right.
Think about it this way. Einstein could have easily surrounded himself with luxury and status symbols,
Yeah.
but he chose not to.
Okay.
He valued his time, his thoughts,
Mm.
his connection with nature, and his close relationships more than any material possessions.
So how can we apply that to our own lives?
Right?
I mean, most of us aren't theoretical physicists with Nobel Prizes.
Right.
We have jobs, families, commutes. Life can feel pretty complicated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's where the beauty of Einstein's philosophy comes in. It's not about living a life devoid of complexity. It's about finding those moments of peace and simplicity within the chaos.
Okay, I like that. So what are some practical steps we can take? I'm ready to try this out.
It can be as simple as setting aside some time each day to disconnect from technology.
Okay.
Put away your phone,
Uh-huh.
step away from the computer, and just be present in the moment.
Right.
Go for a walk in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to some music, meditate, read a book, anything that helps you quiet your mind and reconnect with yourself.
I definitely need to work on that.
Yeah.
I'm so glued to my phone most of the time.
Yeah.
It's like I'm afraid to miss out on something.
And that's the trap of our modern world, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're constantly bombarded with information and stimulation.
Right.
But Einstein understood the importance of stillness, of giving your mind a break from all the noise.
He actually saw those moments of quiet reflection as essential for his scientific work, didn't he?
Exactly. He believed that some of his most groundbreaking insights came to him during those moments of quiet contemplation. It was like he needed that space to allow his mind to wander, to make those unexpected connections that led to those aha moments.
So it's not just about relaxation.
Right.
It's also about boosting our creativity and problem-solving abilities.
I like that.
I like that. It makes it feel a bit less like me time and more like, well, essential brain maintenance.
Precisely. And speaking of brain maintenance, remember Einstein's emphasis on lifelong learning?
Oh, yeah.
That's another key ingredient for a happy and fulfilling life.
Right. He was all about nurturing that natural curiosity.
Yeah.
But how do we do that as adults? It's easy to feel like we just don't have time for learning new things.
It doesn't have to be a huge time commitment.
Right.
It's more about shifting our mindset.
Right.
Instead of seeing learning as a chore,
Yeah.
we can approach it with a sense of playfulness and curiosity.
Okay.
Think back to when you were a kid.
Hmm.
Everything was new and exciting, and you were constantly asking questions and exploring the world around you.
Oh, I remember. I used to spend hours in the library just pulling random books off the shelves and getting lost in different worlds.
Exactly. And that sense of wonder doesn't have to disappear as we get older.
Uh-huh.
We can still find that joy in learning new things, whether it's taking a cooking class, learning a new language, or just reading a book on a topic that interests us.
I love that. It's about reigniting that spark of curiosity, that thirst for knowledge that we all have within us.
Exactly.
So we've covered simplicity, curiosity.
Yeah.
What about that nonconformist streak that Einstein was so famous for?
Yeah.
How does that tie into finding happiness?
That's where the idea of authenticity comes in.
Okay.
Einstein was unapologetically himself.
Right.
He didn't try to fit into any mold or meet anyone else's expectations. And that's something we can all learn from.
It's easier said than done, though, right?
Yep.
Especially in today's world where we're constantly being judged and compared.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of courage to just be yourself, especially when you feel different.
Yeah, for sure.
It takes courage to stand up for what you believe in, to embrace your quirks, and to say, this is who I am, take it or leave it. But that's also where true freedom lies. When you stop worrying about what other people think, you free yourself up to pursue your own passions,
Right.
to live in alignment with your own values, and to create a life that truly feels authentic to you.
I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
Simplicity, curiosity, nonconformity. They're all interconnected.
They are.
But there's still one piece of the puzzle missing.
Okay.
How do we cultivate that inner peace that Einstein seemed to have mastered? I mean, he was dealing with some seriously complex stuff, yet he always seemed to have this sense of calm and contentment.
Right.
How is that even possible?
That's a great question, and it leads us to the final key takeaway from Einstein's approach to happiness.
So what is it? What's the secret? Was it the walks? or the violin?
Well, those probably helped. But it goes a little deeper, I think. Einstein understood that happiness wasn't a destination, more like a journey, you know?
So not like you get there and you're happy forever.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Life has ups and downs, and even Einstein, he had challenges and setbacks
Of
too.
course, yeah.
But what made him different was that he could still find peace even when things were tough.
Interesting.
He knew that being happy wasn't about never feeling bad. It was about getting through those feelings in a good way.
So how do we do that? How do you learn to do that?
Well, for Einstein, it was being present, mindfulness.
Mindfulness. I hear that word a lot. What does that really mean?
It's really simpler than it sounds.
Okay.
It's about paying attention to how you're feeling, what you're thinking, but without judging yourself,
Okay.
noticing things like the sun or how your food tastes or the birds, just little things you might not normally see.
Right. Yeah.
Just appreciating stuff.
That sounds nice.
Yeah.
But how does that help when you're stressed about big things?
Well, when you practice mindfulness, you start to notice those feelings more. Like when you're stressed. Then, instead of just reacting, you can just stop for a second, breathe, and decide what to do.
So you can choose how to react.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And having that control is really powerful.
Yeah.
It means you can face problems better. You're not controlled by your feelings anymore. You control your mind.
That's amazing. So mindfulness, that's part of that inner peace.
Yeah.
Anything else we can do?
Yeah, connection's important too. Einstein loved people, friends, family,
I read that he would play music with his friends.
Yeah, Missy.
It wasn't just about the music, though, right? It was about being together.
Exactly. People need people.
Yeah.
When you feel loved and supported, you can handle things better. And helping others, that gives you purpose, makes you feel good.
So we've got simplicity, curiosity, not conforming, mindfulness, and connection. That's a lot from Einstein.
It's all connected.
Yeah, but how do we even start? It's a little overwhelming.
You don't have to do everything at once. Pick one thing. Start small. Maybe try a few minutes of mindfulness each day, or spend more time outside, or really talk to people you care about.
Just do your best. Right?
Exactly. And it's for life. You'll mess up sometimes. We all do.
Yeah.
Just keep trying, keep learning.
So we learned a lot about Einstein and happiness too, right? It's not about being perfect. It's about, finding peace even when things are crazy. It's about keeping things simple, being curious, being yourself, being present, and connecting with people. It's about choosing happiness every day.
I like that. It's a choice.
Yeah.
And if a genius physicist could find happiness that way, maybe we can too, right?
So what can you do today to bring a little bit of Einstein's wisdom into your life?